So I wrote a book called Hell Has a Frozen Drink Machine. And I didn't tell you boys.
They are the worst things ever.
I'm like, I got to tell the boys because the title was. Go ahead.
Is it released yet?
No, I'm shopping it to publishers now.
Get me on that list. I will. I will pay double
link
for
at the
it.
bottom of the screen for imaginaryfakewebsites.com.
Yeah,
on where to buy this book.
YUNKJunk!
What's up, Philadelphia and Pennsylvania and the East Coast and America and the planet Earth and the Milky Way galaxy and the universe? And welcome to the Supper Club Sessions with myself, Lou Novak, Sean McGranahan,
I hate him
and
so much.
a very special guest, Mike Corcoran. How's everyone doing today?
I am doing fucking phenomenal. I'm going to tell you one reason why. I am so glad. We've half of our episodes we've had special guests on, okay, and they've been good. I mean, and they've really done a good job. They bring product in. We have fun times or stuff like that. Today we're doing something a little bit different, Lou.
Yes,
okay. Cork
is a little bit different.
He was born that way, but Cork is going to be sticking with us the entire episode because Cork not only does he bring sample, not only does he bring good times and jovial atmosphere, but Cork brings with him a treasure trove of history and experience in, around, and through the business that we chose to be in.
Right through.
So with that being said,
Run through.
Cork, welcome to the Supper Club.
Boys, thank you. Looking forward to it. I was going to say, we might as well, like, whenever I do a stand-up show, the first thing I always do is we have a drink for first responders, cops, firemen, vets, everything else.
I'll always
Now, as we found out about this story and wherever the camera shot is, so this was bottled in Kentucky.
In Kentucky.
And it turns out, Lou, we found out the date on this bottle.
9/20/23 too, the same year.
Which happens to be Thumper. Does he go by Thumper anymore?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Thumper's birthday, which we...
My 30th birthday was 9/20/23.
Happy 30.
That's a hard number.
It's
a hard, rough number.
And he looks great for 52 also. So
we appreciate you bringing this. So tell us why. What is your connection to Maker's Mark?
Well, I 9 to 5 work
Maker's Mark
in the industry. Well, yeah, I wake up in the morning and then I have some Maker's Mark. Technically, what I do is so I work for a company that basically deals with.
And Cork, if you get a second, as you fill up Sean's glass too, if you get a second.
Oh, I will.
You missed mine.
Thanks.
There's a hole in the bottom.
Suntory, it's now Suntory Beam.
Mm-hmm.
So the Japanese head company. But anyway, so I call in Chester County, like we talked about, the reason we're on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Bars, restaurants, golf courses, you name it. And I sell them bourbon, lots and lots of bourbon. I got a bunch of other brands, great stuff like, I just want to think of like the hot ones. So Casamigos. Yeah. So I do Casamigos tequila. We have Jägermeister, which to me, and I'll tell you what, funny thing about the relaunch of Jaeger, they got a bunch of like new cocktails, like to research it. And you guys could do a whole episode on like everybody's first Jaeger.
I think we need to bring Vince on at some point.
I can tell you about my last ever Jaeger.
Yeah, Vince would love it.
Like he would my last ever Jaeger.
And Vince is probably one of the nicest human beings.
I love Vince. Vince is phenomenal.
And Lori, the girl that we have for Casamigos, is dynamite. And then we have like some other fun stuff too. We have Old Smoky, like the moonshines. Like 17 different moonshines. So we can always come back.
Yeah.
We can circle back and, once a quarter, try different stuff. But then we have out of Pittsburgh, we have Wood and Blair.
Okay.
So they make a vodka. Yeah. And it all depends. And you guys know the business. Like everybody's always talking about, well, farm to table, blah, blah, blah. So having something local within PA and
well, if we love that. I mean, that's everybody we've brought on so far has been someone with local ties. We've done Eight Oaks Distillery. It's delicious. I've never tried that before. Went to
4 or 5 minutes ago.
The oldest joke I always tell is I always tell people my favorite mixed drink is Maker's Mark on ice.
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely.
100%. Little ice takes the smoke off, Lou.
So we've had other distilleries and brewery here, and we love promoting local. You know, we love Philadelphia. We love the Philadelphia market. We love YUNKJunk here in Main Street, and you know, it's almost like people are probably the 6 people that actually watch this, and Cork is one of them, and
And one of us is pregnant.
exactly.
Counts as 2.
You know, they I think they've heard us say this ad hom, and at this point it's not even worth repeating, but we love local. We love promoting people who are local. We love to have local things. We love the fact that there's cool stuff like that in the state, whether it be in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. Listen, Pittsburgh, I spent 3 years in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a lovely town.
Were we doing in Pittsburgh?
Great part town.
It's a
He was doing time. Did he say? He didn't say he was doing time.
It was the prison right outside. But no, we opened up a bar out in Pittsburgh back in 2003. Another Finnegan's Wake, R.I.P. and I always loved that town. So I got to get back there. I really got to get back there. It's.
I had the worst impression of Pittsburgh before I ever went there. I just thought it was anything outside of Philly's the sticks.
Right. Same thing from Philadelphia. They used to sit there, like when I got out there, they were like, "Oh, you must hate the Steelers," and all this type of stuff. I was like, "No, it's like I love."
I don't give a fuck about the Steelers, right? Like I don't hate them, but like pulling into Pittsburgh when like you just make that turn off of whatever,
and you see the
see the
skyline.
whole skyline.
But
I'm
their
like, this
sticks-
place might be fucking cool.
Yeah,
But their
And-
sticks start quicker than our sticks do. Like their city and then sticks. Like us, it's city,
Right outside the
city,
hills.
city.
Right outside
With
the
Philly,
city
you have
sticks.
like people outside of the Philly saying they're from Philly, but
Right.
when you're outside of Pittsburgh, like you're in fucking Pennsylvania. Like
Speaking of just outside of Philadelphia, I'm really excited because I haven't been to one of these in a while. But my man Cork has a comedy show coming up
oh shit.
in
Yes.
that great Philadelphia neighborhood of Westchester.
Right, Westchester.
What part of
Westchester,
Philly are you from?
Yeah, Westchester,
Philadelphia
Philly.
proper, also known Westchester.
Yeah, Westchester, Philly.
Give us the
Philly.
details on that.
June 27th. It's a Thursday night. Now this is starting to show my
I get
age.
off that day.
So I had to do an earlier time slot. So when I used to do the Trocadero back in the day, we'd start the show at 10 o'clock and then finish at about 2.
Start.
Nothing was
Two.
starting at 10
Yeah,
o'clock.
yeah.
We were already
Exactly done. So Westchester 27th, 7 o'clock show.
Sounds great.
2 other comics. My buddy Joe Bell, who's and it's hard to believe. Like over the years, I always tried to hire like younger comics, like guys that were getting their start. Because I remember in the beginning how much it sucked. Just like you go to an open mic and you're telling jokes to the same comics that are going to an open mic.
Gotcha.
So I started building my own sort of little reservoir, where I could go to. So Joe Bell, I discovered, and Joe is not a young comedian. Like Joe's older than I am, but he was one of those guys where we were sitting there having a drink one day and he goes, I'd really like to try the stand up. And I was probably half shot in the ass. I go, I'm just coming to my next show. And he goes, what? I'm like, yeah, come to the next show. I said, get a couple minutes ready. I said, pop your cherry. And that was sort of, and this, when I tell you guys, this was 4 or 5 years ago. So Joe now gets his own work. Like he was at Bucks County, Bucks County Comedy Cabaret in Bucks County.
Okay.
Like he did back-to-back nights.
Oh,
and I'm like,
okay.
they'd never let me do my acting there ever. Like I sent the guy the tape. He's like, yeah, you're too filthy. I'm like, that's why I do my own thing.
That
I'm
is
like,
cool.
100%. And the other guy's a guy by the name of nice Irish fellow, Sean Murphy.
Okay.
Now he is our young comedian. So Sean's,
You sure that's Irish?
yes, 100%.
Does he
Sean
have
Murphy.
a Fighting Irishman tattoo on his calf?
See, I don't think the next generation does that.
No.
I think our generation was
lost
the
art.
last one to do
a lost
like
art.
the Fighting Irishman.
Has he ever committed a hate crime against an Englishman?
100%.
All right, cool.
I don't think
He's Irish
I don't
enough
think
for
there's
us.
a timestamp on that.
He's Irish enough for us.
Yeah, like those guys came out with the how do you spend your St. Patrick's Day killing an Englishman? No,
There you go.
good.
Great.
That's good. Like the
Makes
world
sense.
doesn't
Time well spent.
the world doesn't have enough peace.
No, that's gonna be a fun show. Gosh, it's been since the Troc.
Yeah.
Since the last time I saw one of your shows.
I took last year off to write a book.
Real?
So,
Is this
yeah.
a real thing?
Yeah, took last year off to write a book.
And what's the book about?
And you guys are going to love the title because you both,
Is the entire book just redacted lines?
100%. That's all it is.
Black lines.
It's
You
just
can't
dots.
mention names.
It's dots. It's not that thing, the text thing you send, the 3 dots.
Ellipses.
I don't know what I mean.
Ellipses.
Yeah, it's ellipses.
It's a page turner.
So, so I wrote a book called Hell Has a Frozen Drink Machine. And I didn't tell you boys.
They are the worst things ever.
I'm like, I got to tell the boys because the title was. Go ahead.
Is it released yet?
No, I'm shopping it to publishers now.
Get
I
me
am
on that
pretty-
list. I will.
Yeah.
I will pay
Dylan,
double
link at
for
the
it.
bottom of the screen for imaginarlyfakewebsites.com.
Yeah, yeah.
On where to buy this book.
Hell has a frozen
No,
room
no,
machine.
no, all right. Without getting into details, what inspired you to write that? Or I know that's just the title, but is it just Tales from Behind the Bar?
No,
Like,
I'll
what
tell
is
you
it?
what. It was one of those things where I had a really great previous year stand-up. It was the most bookings I had. It had everything else. And all of a sudden, I just had to take a deep breath because there's the part of me in my head. This is terrible to say, but my stand-up is like for you guys and people that I know.
Mhm.
Sure, when other people see it, they enjoy it because I've been at it for a lot of years. But I could never really just make that the thing.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking to myself,
Well, 7-Eleven would probably copyright you.
that
So, I mean-
7-Eleven, the 7-Eleven joke is 100%. That's a little dicey. I had to turn this around too. I didn't want to give out any free plugs. Not trying to freely promote anybody else. So when I got divorced,
Mhm.
I thought to myself, I'm like, divorce is like for a guy that's got my sense of humor. Like I could have just wrote like joke after joke after joke, but just about divorce, and not to mention what the three of us have heard collectively over bars in the past 30 years.
Virgin ears
Like you've
here,
heard,
actually.
yeah, I've heard every story about divorce. So I thought to myself, I'm like, take all the stories, right? Take everything I've heard, take my own personal spin on it, and actually, it's more of a memoir. But if you read it, you could say it was a self-help book. Like, so that was the whole point. So it intertwines the bar and how
I love it.
Yeah.
Self-help
I can't wait.
because when you read it, you realize like, well, my life's not this bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel
100%.
fucking great.
That's
right
it.
now.
That's the whole thing.
Like the South Park
As the
Lizzo
only one at
fucking
the table
kid.
as the only one at the table who hasn't been divorced
Right.
yet.
Wow.
I'm working on it, Steph. I promise.
Well, it's like that guy says, every once in a while, just to feel better, I go to K Jewelers and take a shit on their stand. I'm like, yeah, every costly divorce begins with K.
Assholes. Yeah, listen, that's awesome. I didn't know that. I appreciate you sharing that with me. So I mean, listen. Part of the supper club of what we do is we like talking about bar experiences. We like to talk about things that annoy us. We like to talk about things that grind our gears and
drink
stuff
more
like
bourbon.
that.
As
We like
everybody
that
wants, I'm
bourbon.
going to say, is I Ubered, so
Yeah,
I'm like,
I live around the corner. I can throw a rock.
And
in
I just drink and drive.
I'm going to give
so
him
I'm
much
fine with that.
less. Than Sorry, Sean.
So let's talk some stories, man. I want to Cork
They're
the lead
in the
off.
air.
I got to go with this first one. Like, now, first of all, like I could talk about past it. Like I met you when you were a kid.
Dude.
I met you when you couldn't even vote.
You met me when I think like legally you shouldn't have been allowed near me.
Well, that's wait. I got to do the math in my head on the years. No, I'm good now.
It's permitted now. It's permitted now.
As
had to
both
count
people
the
get
years.
older, it doesn't sound as bad.
So, and that's the crazy thing about this industry. And you guys have covered this, in some of your past pods. Like the funny thing about this business, and I have an old boss, and he used this line. He goes, "Wherever you go, treat everybody good, because you never know where you're going to end
Absolutely.
up.
That's the truth.
Like you never know when you." This is terrible. The job of the place that you mentioned before, when you were very, very, very
the
young.
6 degrees of
place of the
separation.
thing.
And I remember because we met twice, and the second time we met and the first time we met 10 times. So we knew each other, but he didn't like put 2 and 2 together. And I'm like, the second time we meet and he's sober, and I'm like, were you ever sober? And he looks me dead in the face and he goes, you weren't. And I'm like, that's
How
not
could you
asking a
tell?
question. Like I wasn't asking the question so you could ask the question. I'm like, could be the other thing. And the other thing, to lose credit, that he survived his youth. And I thought of,
Well, we know how I spent my first paycheck.
well, yes, and smartly spent, by the way. And by the way, and on all the comments, everybody did the same thing. Everybody spent their same check the same way.
Wait, so is there like a new Me Too movement?
Well, it's actually the un-Me Too
Yeah,
movement.
it's not me too. Like no, like eventually someday they're gonna come out. Somebody else is gonna write the book
Right.
about us, and we're just gonna be like, listen, It was a different time.
No,
it's
it was
kinda
a different
it's kinda
time
like when I used to talk to my dad about like Vietnam and stuff like that, he didn't like talking about it. He was like, it was a different time, you know. And then of course, like he told me after the fact, he's like, it was a different time because I was drinking 10 screwdrivers a day just to keep myself sane in downtown Hanoi, you know. But it was a different time. Listen,
It was a different time.
Even
Good
now,
out.
like this is again, Cork. That's one of the reasons why, you know, we decided we wanted to do something like this, partially because we're very vain. And we,
It's a narcissistic business. Pardon my interruption.
and we
One of us loves the attention.
yeah, one of us loves the attention. One of us loves stealing the attention. But we when we would go out and we'd have our supper club nights and we'd go out and have dinner, have drinks with all these friends, just like that. Literally, people were like, even just the other day, it happened where somebody was just like, "I hate it when you two are together," because it's like
Infamous.
because it's literally like we reduce ourselves to the least nice version of ourselves, and
The true version.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. You ripped out the legs.
So
Rip out the
us.
True version. Yeah,
but-
true version.
There's
yeah.
two versions of us. There's us,
Mhm.
and then there's just the way we are and the way we act, so
The way we
people actually
project.
fucking associate with us.
right where we project, and then when it gets to the really detrimental stuff, it's like, no, that's really us.
That's
It's like,
actually
yeah,
the
right.
real. Yeah, that's who I am.
Well, you
but-
guys know why that is, Sean, right? You know why people in the industry do it, right?
Tell me, doctor.
Because you spend so much time putting on the face.
Wearing masks.
You're putting on the face like all the time. So when you get to the supper and the outside, outside, you got to just, and booze helps things fall off too.
I
Like-
found that to be true, actually.
Sh-
Booze
sh-
does help things fall off. And,
Like
and
most of the sorority girls, Sean associates
In a
with.
different time.
I'm not
It
going to
was a
say,
different time.
sometimes people refer to it as a
A
lubricant.
different time was probably 2 nights ago for Sean. Actually,
was a
it was a different time. It was 8 p.m. on
Some peop-
Saturday.
some people call it a lubricant. I mean, I'd say it's a facilitator.
But that's why. So that's why you get the purest Lou and the purest Sean.
Yes.
Because the industry, and especially now, like I wrote like material about the Karens and stuff like that. Like the business right now, you have to talk about being on a swivel, because you could go up to be someone and be nice, and you're sexually harassing them. Like your approach is like, oh, they were coming on to me because I said hello, like in a certain
Let
way.
me see
But
your
he
tits.
said
And all
it
of a
like
sudden, it's
this.
like, oh, you sexually harassed me. Ugh.
Send me pics. I mean, it's like that's awkward or something.
But at
like
least make them creative.
that. Yeah,
Something different.
it's funny you say that too, because that is like, I got in trouble one time because part of my management training that I would put people through.
Let me see your
Okay.
tits.
No, see.
You put it on the whiteboard. Goes up on the whiteboard. Excuse me. Let
It was just
me.
the emoji. It was the emoji of boobs on a whiteboard.
me.
No, but one of the things I would always tell everybody is like, what's the most important part of your uniform as a restaurant manager? And they'd go through the list and
Part that's
say,
on
oh,
the
your
floor.
name tag, your non-slip shoes, making sure you smell nice, your breath is good. No. The most important thing about your uniform when you're a restaurant manager is your knee pads and lip gloss.
Yes.
Because knee pads and lip gloss will fix any situation.
And then this 16-year-old hostess that was applying for the job called her dad.
and God forbid they got the joke. I mean, me who? Me too?
Dad, this guy says you have to come drop off knee pads and lip gloss if I
Part of
want the
my
job.
That's a me too joke is when the woman's walking down the street and she has a shirt on that says love pink. I'm like, yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I love it. This is going to be our final episode after we get canceled. It's going to be awesome.
Listen, cancel culture. Everybody's
Yeah,
got to go
I'm
down.
doing it, so
It's
I'm gonna go down.
cancel culture.
Up
you know?
and down.
It's funny because Cork said in the beginning, he said, I'll come back next quarter and we'll come back after that, but not realizing that this was
The
going to be the
blind
last episode.
optimism that we're going to be on air
Right.
in a quarter.
There's a reason why I won't even like make plans an hour in advance with people, because first off, you never know if I'm going to be alive.
You might die.
I might die.
There's that.
But
There's that.
second off,
Well, how many? What's your count? Have you been dead 3 times now or 4?
well, I've had
Some people, when you ask their body count, they think how many times, like, how many
No,
people have you
it's-
fucked? How many times have you actually died and come back? What's your body count?
There's open heart surgery.
Right.
One.
There's I had an emergency appendectomy because it almost ruptured.
2.
I had sepsis twice.
Right.
4.
I had a
was 4 or 5?
stroke.
Stroke counts as 5, so now you're at 9.
And the stroke, I was technically unresponsive for like a while.
I had a stroke downstairs while I was waiting for you guys to get it.
I'm stroking right now. You can't tell. See?
You were quick that time, opposed to all the other times.
Quick out.
But yeah, listen, that's why, listen, live life like there's no tomorrow. Just do your thing. Treat people nice.
Control what you can.
Control what you can. Fuck everything else.
Hey,
that's it. Control
it's on my wall. Control what you can. Fuck everything else.
The other day.
Your brain will thank you, and your heart will too.
Good, because every time I watch like a Marvel movie, I think of him. Honest to God.
And what do you mean?
I just want more vibranium. I think he could use some vibranium.
The funny thing is, I've tried to lure people with vibranium.
Is vibranium the blue pill? Is that
Blue Chews?
Blue Chews.
So welcome to our new sponsor,
now.
Blue Chews.
Right.
Is it not pills anymore?
No, that's the mints.
Keeping me ready for a couple years now.
That's wrong, by the way. That's wrong. Like you fuck up the mints, like mix up the mint container, right? And you're like at church on a Sunday, I would get the coffee breath out and you're fucking sporting wood. That's not good.
In church.
Neither of you were in church, first of all.
I said, I made the church
You
reference.
get Cork to do a show. You do the First Unitarian Church?
No, this is a true.
You do realize that I am a member of the United Church of Corcoran.
Yes, that's the spaghetti and monsters.
I used to pray to it every Sunday and just thank the Cork for giving me the power to get in.
When you pray to it, where you're on your knees?
With lip gloss.
Yes.
There you go.
That's a solid callback. Now, when I came back, when I did stand up in Philly in the early 90s, and I was actually like a quote unquote working comic.
Okay.
And then the things you never forget, it was like it was Valentine's Day. I get booked for the show. It was the old one, Fairmount.
It was a joke.
Yeah. Fairmount was, I can never remember. It was a rock club, everything else. And I get paid in advance. Okay. So it was a sweet gig. So I got the money up front. I'm the middle. So I'm not the opener because I was already advanced enough. I didn't have to open.
You were the middle guy on a three-way. You're a Quimby.
Yeah, it was a Quimby.
Question for that later.
So I go and the person's on before me and they're telling these jokes about like toenails and personal, like, and I'm going, and I never looked at the crowd. Never looked at the crowd. So I peek through the crowd and I am the only white guy within 10 miles of the place. It is 2,000 African-American people. And I don't have any jokes that actually play to that market.
Okay.
So as you guys can imagine, I died 1,000 deaths and bombed. But getting to the church part of the story, fast forward 8 years later, I get a friend, her husband had a stroke and a heart attack.
His name was funny already. Right. It's already hilarious.
So they're having this benefit. She's like, is there any chance you would like get your spurs back on and do some stand-up? So it's going to be Port Richmond in the basement of a church. I'm like, oh, my act in the basement of a church. Yeah, that's fine. Fantastic. When I tell you in the first 2 minutes, 3 old ladies got up and walked out and I go, I'm back. That was it. I'm back. And then I'd been working ever since, but that was the church basement story.
When you work and you said you were the middle, I've always wondered, like, not just in comedy, but even like bands, right? And concerts, like, is there like a better like tier? Do you want to be the opener? Like, I feel like my feeling is this: when you're the opener, like, I feel like it's a heavy burden because like, you got to set the fucking tone, right? And I feel like obviously if you're the headline, like you're the one that made people money. So is there like first, middle, last, like, or if there's
if you want to do it the right way, then almost like we were talking about business before, like you want to work at each job a little bit so you know what the flow is.
Timing and the
spot on comment, Lou, about the opener. Like if the opener doesn't get him, the show's never gonna race. Like it's never gonna.
If Ron Jeremy's fluffer didn't get the job done, he wasn't coming in to finish the job.
Can we even mention Ron Jeremy anymore? Isn't he like way
the hedgehog? The hedgehog.
I think he's in jail or something.
Well, listen, what could he have possibly done wrong?
He's under the jail, I think.
Yeah. He couldn't have done anything to get canceled. I mean, I don't think.
No, not Ron Jeremy.
No.
Soul of the earth.
God bless
man of the people.
From a man like that to have made a career doing what he did, I mean, it's God bless him.
Yeah, but that's to answer Lou's
There's
question.
many people that are in his field that do what he does, but for him to look the way he looks,
that's what I'm saying.
It's just like
it was rare.
Well,
we all have
it sets a tone. Hey, right. There you go. It sets a tone.
He's like, the everyman. Ron Jeremy was the Shakespeare of porn. Absolutely. He was everyman.
Absolutely.
Like, if he could do it. If it can happen to him,
Ron
it
Jeremy.
can happen to all of
Use a
us.
Shakespeare reference in something that has nothing to do with dialogue.
Hey,
That's how good he was. He was the Charlie Chaplin of porn. He didn't even have to speak.
the best thing is that we just compared Ron Jeremy
Shakespeare.
to Shakespeare.
No. We compared Shakespeare to Ron Jeremy.
Yes, exactly.
Put some fucking respect on his name, sir.
I like that. I like
Correct.
that. I like
Because
that.
if you were going to put both those names out there, who would know who?
So, Lou, I want you to give me
Oh,
a
God.
Cork story. One that we can tell.
The only one I was thinking of, because you were there for the bachelor party. I know you were upstairs for the. I know
I
you were.
am not having the bachelor party story.
Yeah, I know you were upstairs for the bachelor party, and that was a terrible story.
I'm married with children, sir.
You weren't then, though. You
No,
weren't.
I wasn't. But
I don't even think you were. You know what? You're right.
Shout
That's
out to
not a good
Casey and her
story.
friends. They comment
That's
on
not
all
a
our
good
fucking shorts.
He's right. That's not a good story. I don't even think he was 19. You're probably 19.
Sure. Yes. For this podcast, I was 19 and a legal adult.
I just
In Canada.
want one Cork story.
I will give you a. I will give you no. I will give you the G rate. I will give you a G rated Cork story. Okay, it's
As he takes a drink.
G rated. We work in a restaurant industry, right? We work in whether it be
Well,
alcohol or food.
We work in the restaurant industry.
I'm employed.
You're present.
I'm employed in the restaurant industry.
Man of the people now.
Man of the people. And one of the things that, when you manage front house or back house, or at my time at, back house, you're in charge of food cost.
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, dear.
I'm not going to call anyone out by name. It is very hard to maintain your food cost when people that you work with eat all of the chicken ever and eat you out of house and home. At one point, I think someone here was a host, a celebrity host. Like, hey, we don't have a host today. And then Cork might have said, I'll come in. And then at the end of the day, it's like, hey, like going to the register, like, what do I owe you? He's like,
Jameson.
chicken. No, fucking chicken. Like, just like bags of Tyson fucking breaded chicken fingers. Like,
This story
what I'm not
was,
going to say right now.
the story was you were allowed to make your own sandwich. So hypothetically, Lou would have a sandwich about yay big. And the guy he speaks of would have a sandwich about yay big.
Same size roll.
See, nobody sees it coming from a skinny guy.
Right.
Like nobody. Like that's
You put them down your mouth faster than anybody.
and to the
The
point,
bird goes right down his
to
throat.
the point where he talked about it, where I would go into the office, they'd be like, those chicken costs are all messed up.
They're like
because
really
you.
bad.
And I go like this, I go,
You're way off.
I'm like, really? Just because of me?
Is it little?
And I'm like, I mean, I didn't stop. I just continued. I
Acknowledged it was a problem.
acknowledged that it was an issue.
I didn't
but
address it.
no, I mean, I didn't kind of redirect. I'm like,
Yeah.
listen, you made it up. See,
Cork, when you talk about like unspoken like former places we worked, Cork was single-handedly responsible for a multi-million-dollar company having like a really bad second quarter food cost.
yeah. Listen,
You
I
hear
was
the horror
hungry.
stories like Red Lobster, Endless Shrimp.
Yeah.
It was Endless Chicken, but there was no promotion for
I was a
Endless
much
Chicken.
younger, hungrier Cork.
Yeah. I
It was
like
all the
that one.
weed. It was like fucking chicken, dude.
I remember
motherfucking chicken,
Chicken!
motherfucking now.
I remember one time, and it was like it was a Sunday, and it was like football on or something like that. And Cork comes to me and says, "Listen, I got this asshole at the bar. I'm not serving him. I don't care what you say. He's not getting a drink from me." I'm like, "Oh, is he flagged? No, he's a prick." And I say,
Hey.
"Okay, what made him a prick?" And he says, he did this, and he rattles off like 4 or 5 different things. I was like, well, let me go talk to him a little bit. So I go over and I talk to him, and the guy was a prick. I mean, the guy
Okay.
was an absolute prick.
Okay.
And was one of those types that's like, this asshole over here is doing it. And I'm like, no, don't call my employee an asshole.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a
Because
good,
then I have to be an asshole.
he's a good guy. He's
Right.
not going to do anything. And he starts laying into me about stuff. And I said, Court, here's a prick. Don't fucking serve him. And we walked him out the door.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was then that I started adopting the saying, in Cork I trust.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Because
see.
Yeah, he had
I
the
like
instinct for it. He had the instinct for
back
it.
in those days, well, first of all, and
WWCD.
yeah,
Mhm.
in those days, and that's
Drugs.
all
Mhm.
pre pre-COVID, pre-everything.
Yeah.
And you guys,
We're
like
gonna
I
talk
said,
about COVID later, by the way.
cover like a lot of the topics. The business we came back to post is
Not the
a
same business.
completely different business. Completely different business. Because like I said, Chester County, I think I call in 150 accounts. So that's a lot of conversations with bartenders, with waitresses, with wait staff. And they're straight up against it like all the time. And the big thing is, so everybody did everything at home first. So this is so maybe it's a 3-part thing. And like I always loved like the weird restaurant tidbits that you hear. Food reviews were all bad before the pandemic because everybody was taking pictures of the food. So they weren't eating it in a proper time fashion because they wanted to post
They
everything.
were more concerned about posting it and stuff.
I need the
posting it.
cloud. I gotta.
Weird, it's cold
Right.
now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So all those
I
complaints
stage
come.
it 6 different ways.
So you have that, then you have everybody at home making sourdough bread and their own cocktails. So that's the other thing. So I call on a lot of great cocktail places. Like I could drop names all over the place, but it's better because, and even in the Yunk, you guys have a ton of great cocktail bars.
Absolutely.
Where if you're a guy that likes or a gal that likes a cocktail, you're gonna wait a couple minutes.
I love a great cocktail.
But you're gonna get a great cocktail.
Sure.
Now the
Not fast
cocktail
food.
goes out and you guys have heard it. There's no alcohol in this.
Yeah, right.
And whoever taught the consumer that you're supposed to taste alcohol in a drink besides the way we're drinking it right now
Right.
was 100%
The
mistaken.
point of the Long Island iced tea is
Oh
it
my
tasted like
fucking
Long. It was supposed to
God.
taste like Long Island iced tea. It's supposed to taste like a sweet
I
tea.
think the people that drink Long Island iced teas probably
Should be
taste
shot.
like. I think they probably taste like Long Island.
yeah, like the dirty
the
part of
actual
Long Island
place.
too.
Like the actual place.
like the
Yeah.
beginning of
Mix
Long
of
Island,
sand
like
and
Queens.
dirt.
Like
The
yeah, like,
mixture of sand and dirt
And
and
trash
travel
and
and
poor.
sadness.
Yeah.
you know, it's funny you say that because you know that is something we experienced after the pandemic because people spent the pandemic indoors. I mean, I can tell you this: during the pandemic, I drank 2 bottles of wine a night.
Yeah.
and then after the pandemic, he drinks 2 bottles of wine.
and
Well, 'cause he got good at it.
Because it was like, you know, I was working 11 to 8, 7 days a week, and there was no like time off or anything like that. There was no one to go out and hang out with.
There was no time.
Yeah.
Time was a
It was-
construct
so
that just
it-
didn't
it-
fucking exist during the
But
pandemic.
the funniest thing about that is when I would be driving home on 95, when it would be like literally a ghost town on 95, I would see all these fireworks. Like people partying all over the city. And I'm like, I want to do that, but I have to drive home.
2
So-
words that come to mind during the pandemic: fireworks and dirt bikes.
Yeah. So
Welcome to Philly.
Yeah.
So
That's where it started. That's when the whole thing
oh,
started.
God.
the pandemic
I hate them
caused
all.
people to sit there and think
Why?
that they had not only did they have the ability to sit there and do the things they wanted to do at home, but they also had the wherewithal to say, I want it exactly like this. You already had situations where, like, let's just say, you know, people they're in for a football game.
Right.
I want this game on this TV and that game on that TV and this one on that TV.
You should go home.
Or you should go home and
Yeah,
get the
you
NFL
should
ticket.
go the fuck
Exactly.
home, bro.
But-
Direct TV,
So
awesome.
you combine that with the whole idea of like, why don't you make a drink the way I made my drink at home?
Yeah.
You know, it's like because I'm at a bar and
And you'll die.
Yeah, you'll die. You know? but like there's that mentality of like there's you know I always hated that saying customer's always right because customer's not always right. Right?
The last time I opened in one of my previous spots behind the bar, like very last shift, I remember it fucking clear as day. Woman came in, asked for Crown Royal, shot of Crown Royal. Okay, I had to open the bottle.
Yeah.
Literally taking the fucking
Yeah.
plastic wrap off the fucking, you know, taking it out of the felt fucking bag, right?
Right.
Put a fucking pour on it, pour a shot. Tells me no alcohol in this.
it's
Wait a minute. In a straight shot?
Straight shot.
That's fantastic.
yeah, that's
The
phenomenal.
very,
Is
it was
she
the
single?
it was that
Is she single? Can you
she
put
was
us together?
something. She was something.
Put us
and then when I
together.
picked her up later, she was hammered. So you did a good job.
It was the last actual shot I ever poured during the pandemic, and that was it. It will never like you don't forget trauma,
Right.
So that's it's.
I
ingrained
listen
in my
to
head.
people like talk about the arguments they have where Sean said about the customer is always right.
They're not.
I like the idea that every customer's opinion is valid, but it doesn't mean it's right.
I agree.
Well, the actual
Her
quote, and
opinion
I'm
is
not-
valid, but
the actual
not
quote
correct.
is the customer is always right in matters of taste. That's the actual full quote. in the matter of like,
Did you read that in a book?
He did.
In a word book.
A word book?
In a word book, yeah, because I have the smarts.
Mad Libs. It was Mad Libs.
Mad Gab, yeah. Yeah, the customer's
Magazine.
always right in when it comes to taste. So, the customers to come in and buy a fucking like, green and orange fucking plaid fucking suit and he wants to pay you for it, like, yeah, absolutely, dude, you're right. Your opinion, your matter of taste is right.
Absolutely.
But as far as him telling you like, hey, this is not made with 1,000 thread count when it is, like, well, no, you're fucking wrong and you're a prick.
And you're a prick.
And you're a fucking prick.
But people try to do the nice route. Say, listen, if you want to taste your alcohol, the three of us
Order
did it
another one.
today. Sean threw rocks in everybody's glass.
Absolutely. But other than
Because
that, just
we
order
know there's
straight.
ice in there, but we know for 100, I mean, short of your Crown Royal friend, like, you know exactly what you're drinking. You drink liquor. So people trying to preach that back say, listen, if you want a drink that has alcohol, now this is the part that's going to upset you, is it's just that alcohol, either with ice or neat in a glass, and then you're going to taste alcohol. But I realize you want pineapple, strawberry, lemonade, coconut oil, coconut juice, pineapple mango puree,
And poured from a frozen drink machine.
and
From a frozen drink
machine.
in hell.
That's a solid callback.
Yeah, I remember
Great
when the pandemic happened and that was like the rage where like the beer distributors were allowed to all of a sudden like
Oh, the
Like,
adult
you-
Capri
like,
Suns?
you weren't
The
allowed
adult Capri Suns.
like the whole Pennsylvania liquor system is so messed up. Like
We
you
live
can't
in a
buy-
state that extorts
you
fucking
can't
bars.
buy you at the
True.
time beer distributor couldn't sell anything less than I think a case. I don't even think it was a 12 pack.
Yeah,
at that point. I
they
think it was still a
changed-
case. Then it was like, okay, no, they could do 6 packs. Then it was like, all right, no, you guys can do Lucy's. Then it was like,
Yeah, Lucy's was big.
You could drink here.
then it was like,
Fuck it.
you can get a frozen drink, but it has to be a malt
Here's your
beverage.
paper
I was like,
bag.
wait, what's a malt beverage? And all of a sudden, you walk into a beer distributor, you walk into freaking
Whoever.
Spadies
Yeah,
or
yeah,
and they have
Spadies.
a wall of these frozen drink machines, and
Right.
you're like, here's my 3 cases of beer, and I'll take 4 of those things
For the drive home.
for my drive home. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
There was that one time when drinking and driving was completely legal.
I mean, there was a one time where I was starting every shift I fucking worked with a fucking PBR iced coffee because it was
Those were
why the
good.
fuck not? They were
Those
delicious.
are actually pretty
You
good.
put them in a Dunkin' mug.
That was actually pretty good.
I'll never forget one time though. I had somebody like sit there and be like, wait, hold on, it's just iced coffee.
Right.
Yeah,
It's just iced coffee.
it's just
Right.
iced
Just
coffee,
iced coffee.
and vodka.
Yeah. just Irish coffee, just Mexican coffee, just coffee,
Yeah, we don't wanna
just
get racial.
coffee.
Yeah, don't talk
Did
about
I?
the Irish like that.
I'm
Come
sorry.
on.
That was a slam.
I'm
Did I
offended now.
slander him? I slandered him.
My,
If I spelled coffee the wrong way, it would be a slander to Lou.
yeah, COFE.
I just think you mean cocaine when you say coffee.
Same thing.
Okay.
Like I said, it starts with a C. Just take it right there.
It gives you
I believe
energy.
it's still from the cacao beans. So I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
you get a Colombian coffee.
Colombian,
Right. Juan Valdez to my left.
absolutely.
Shout out to Juan.
Shout out to Juan.
I'm going to let, by the way, I am going to let Sean keep this since it has his
love that.
date on it.
You are a fucking doll.
And you can throw it up on the
you
cabinet. 'cause I
are
have
an
one at-
absolute gem.
I have one at home.
The gift that keeps on
And
giving.
it's funny because when we get them, and I've been lucky enough to go to the Bourbon Trail like a handful of times,
I want to go so bad.
and people are always like, "Yeah, you can save the money, save the bottle," like a committer. I'm like, "Yeah, you can drink it. I mean, you could."
What do
We
I
can drink it in its
You
entirety
drink
in
it.
one sitting.
And I'll tell you what, like down there, and seriously, the guys, and I don't like to give like the backwards plug, but the guys from Centauri Bean, like they show you such a good time, and it reminds and I mentioned
I wish I had a friend that would bring me down there at some point.
the pandemic, like the drinking and driving thing. Like I have a terrible Uber rating. I do. I have an awful Uber rating, and I've earned
As
it.
a driver or a passenger?
Passenger,
Okay,
100%. I would never drive Uber because that completely
see,
beats the point. But like being an unsupervised adult where someone drives you around all the time, and you're like, yeah, I'm 100% 22 all over again. Like I'm 22 years old, just
So,
cart me around.
Why do
till
you
it's
say
over.
that? Because technically, since my little thing I had last year, I'm not supposed to
stroke?
be driving.
Or the-
so I've become a very avid Uber passenger.
Yeah.
And I have a high rating because I like to have conversations with people, and I think I become engaging, and I tip way too much.
I don't
Because
wanna-
otherwise, it would not be good.
I don't want to
stay on
call
top
Sean
of the-
out on this, but I feel like he uses the little thing he had last year as a crutch just
Right.
to actually have like a personal driver.
Right.
I just feel like in Sean's world, he's like, oh, I'll have the car pulled around in a
Yes,
moment.
exactly.
You know, Jeeves,
All
come
of a
get
sudden,
me. I'm ready now.
His little incident has made him a man about town.
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird because when the Uber guys come to pick him up, he makes them put the fucking chauffeur hat on.
Yeah.
I carry it with me at all times.
Yeah,
Can you put this on?
First of all, sir, wear this.
My Uber feedback. Dickhead made me wear a hat.
Dickhead made me wear a hat. Like I said, and I'm with you. Like the tipping part, when I'm like the next day when I get that I actually got an Uber.
And then you remember
then
and
I
you see
tip
it
then.
pops up, you're like, oh,
and then I
fuck.
tip then.
When you remember reminds me of the one time where Sean and I were out one night, and I think we were at Toasted Walnut because, you know, we're raging lesbians.
Lesbian bar.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Great,
And
great
Great spot,
lesbian
though.
The next day comes
That's it.
by and Sean reaches out and he's like, hey, man, just making sure you're good. I'm like, dude, I am not good. He's like, well, I mean, you know, you get home all right? I'm like, I don't know. Did I? You drove me home. He's like, no, I didn't drive you home. I didn't fucking drive you home at all, bro.
Who was that, Sean?
I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I
kissed
put,
you
I
goodbye.
put you in a fucking Uber.
When I say it poured him into the back of the Uber, like it was literally like he oozed through the window, and that was even after like he didn't fight me about like, you know, like how he was getting home or anything like that. Like I think he wasn't like, no, I'm
good. Like, I wasn't good.
It was literally like, no.
Thank
His
God
his keys
thank
were
God
already
one
in
of
his
us is
ass.
making good decisions.
I have my car keys in my ass.
The
I'm
Uber guy
fine.
may have walked me into my home. He might have tucked me in.
He might have stuck something in you too. I don't know.
I always got to like the drop off.
That was a tip.
We had the
Just a tip.
little 2-seater, you know, patio seat right out front of the house. When I tell you to, like, in my age, that's how many times we left on the patio seat. The last Trocadero show that I did,
Love the truck.
which was like technically by all standards before they closed, I was the last comedian to perform there. And it was an August night. It was hot. It was unbelievable. But I know the booze and everything like else didn't like match up. So we went from there, from the Troc to this bar that was close to home. And then I'm standing out in front of the bar and I go like this, and I thought I had my car, but I hadn't driven for 6 hours. Like my car was still in my driveway at home. And I go like this, so walk around the parking lot looking for my car that's not there in this other place that I haven't been. So I know that it's bad. And it was an 8-minute trip. And the first 4 minutes I was great. And the last 4 minutes are a mystery. Like the last 4 minutes, and then waking up on that little patio thing. And I had like my jacket and everything else on my stuff. And then dawn.
Ooh.
Breaks, and I'm thinking to myself, and the only
Why is
and
the
I was
sun there?
Well, I was still married at the time, so the only winner was the family was down the shore. They weren't going to find like drunken dad out front, which was kind of a good thing. But after that, I went like this. I went, and Uber must hate me. They just must not. They must not like me because I know the first 4 minutes was jovial, was
We were good.
entertaining, everything was.
We had
And the last
something.
4 was.
I
Let me drive.
I'll never
You
forget.
hop in the back.
So my one of my old dear friends, Austin, she lives up in Brooklyn. Shout out to Austin. She was the first one who introduced me to Uber, and it was like she was telling me about it over the phone, and it was back when Uber was still like town cars only, like when it first came out.
Okay.
And it was like, yeah, do you guys have Uber down there in Philadelphia? And I'm like, yeah, Uber all the time. Like I'm always Uber. Like, what the fuck is Uber?
I love to eat
And
Uber.
who
I
is
go
the
there every
Uber?
night for
And-
dinner.
and-
Who
and
is
she
the
explained
Uber?
it to me, and I was like, wait. So it's like a cab, but it's a town car, and they pick you up and they drop you off wherever you want, and you don't have to like give them money. It's just in an app. She was like, yeah. I was like, when is this coming to Philadelphia? And when can I get one? And I remember when it first came to Philly, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, you're doing the shock and awe. You're like, I can't
That
wait,
was
can't
Sean's
wait.
first experience of actual having like a classist society. Like, I can pay a whore to come pick me up. And
That's when he was
take
out
me
buying the hats.
from one bar to another bar or to a hat shop. Give me
a half dozen limo hats.
Hence why I have the hats. Yeah.
It's
listen,
weird when he invites them back in though and tells them to keep the hat on. That's a whole separate.
Well, you remember in the Carolinas, right? They did the thing first where they would come and if you were a cyclist and you were drinking, right? They would come and pick up your bike. So they would come up and pick up you and your bike and then take your bike home. This was before even Uber. Because I remember, because I was in the beer business at that time and we were down there playing golf.
Okay, so Cork, I
tell me
have
more
been,
about the 70s.
Yeah.
I have been
It was the late
talking
60s.
I've been talking about this $1 million idea that someone else is going to have. And it's an Uber for when you're just fucked up, right? So hear me out.
That's an Uber.
Really?
When you're really fucked up.
But so here's the thing.
Takes you right to the morgue.
Let's say I drove to the bar.
It's called an ambulance.
I drive to the bar and I'm shitty. And I'm like, I got to Uber home. I don't want to leave my car here. I guess I'll just drive home and get a DUI. No. The app is this. The Uber driver comes to pick you up, but he's got a buddy with him. And the buddy drives your fucking car home and parks
his
it on
house.
but they're insured. Like it's a whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
And they drive your car home and park it out front of your fucking house for it. You pay a nominal fee, but it's well worth it and better than getting a fucking DUI. Like
100%.
no one else is,
Like nobody understands.
You just be a better planner and just Uber when you leave.
no, I don't do that.
I Uber 2 places, knowing
Well,
that
now
like,
you do because you fucking have to.
Listen, he's right though. You make a great point. Like it takes you a little time to just go, you know what? Why even get the car involved with this transaction? Let's just I know where I'm going. I know who I am. I'm just Uber in, Uber out. Like that's
But
it.
what if
You're
you
gonna-
live in a perpetual sense of denial, like some people?
Well, see, you get a little older, Lou, and you realize that denial is just a river.
Lou's perpetually going to be a child. Okay.
Growing up's for old people.
Absolutely. What was the old tweet? I don't want to grow up. I'm a Jameson kid.
Oh my God.
All
that
the
was the whole thing.
Jameson I
Thank
could
God
drink
we're not drinking Jameson.
Is that still the same for guys in the bar? Is it Jameson's still a bartender shot? Like the Jameson?
We
The
actually debated
hipsters would
before.
have you tell you it's Fernet, actually.
Yeah.
Well, Fernet, but
Yeah, that's like the industry shot.
yeah, but the other one, what?
Or there's this product called Jim Beam.
Yes.
That's very popular.
I'll take
Yes.
Beam
that's
over
for the
Jameson.
citywide, for the Jim Beam citywide, and not to mention
PBR on a Jim Beam.
and I tell you guys, and I will tell a Jim Beam story, and I will tell it proudly. So, time travel being important here.
Oh.
Imagine a 19-year-old Cork sitting at a table, my college dorm, 5 guys, and a handle of Jim Beam. That was our first liquor of choice. Was Jim Beam because it was cheap.
He was rich.
It was not. Yeah, well, yeah, we were rich. We had a lot of money. Like who told him Jim Beam? Well, I mean, anyway, back to the Jim Beam story. So it was what I cut my teeth on bourbon wise. So then I went and spent 20 years in the beer business. But if I was, like I said, if I was at a place where I wasn't driving, I'd get a Beam, I'd get a Makers, I'd get a Knob Creek.
Yeah.
Like I get one of those 3. Like, and I didn't even know like I was drinking under the same house because they're all under the same family of brands. But Jim Beam, cocktail wise, is dynamite.
Solid.
It's fucking solid. It is
It's
a
reliable,
solid
man.
bourbon. Yeah.
Not
bourbon.
for nothing. I'm not going to go down that whole list, but like Jim Beam Black,
Yeah.
Knob Creek. I'll tell you a story. When I had my bar in East Falls,
Knob Rye is really one of my
Thumpers, when
fucking
I had
I was thrown out of there.
Nice.
I was thrown out of that establishment. Thanks for bringing that up.
There's a reason why that, I stayed in the business after that because it brought so much happiness and joy and pain to my life. But I
That's
remember
the masochist in him.
Yeah.
so this is back when like
Hit me harder, I
I
love
could
it.
take a couple more inches.
Thank you, sir.
Couple
May I
more
have
inches.
another?
Go ahead.
World
couple more
Series of
inches, I'm
Poker was
down.
like big, and everybody was doing like all the poker things and that kind of stuff, and all these different bars that have the like poker night. So Knob came in, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna do this poker night," and the buy-in for it to do it was like 4 cases of Knob, and I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, yeah.
Money doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting on these 4 cases of Knob, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell to do with them.
It's all we sell.
So we got this this jug, this like water jug thing, and we filled it up with cherries,
Oh, nice.
and then we put the knob in there, and we sold the cherries for $2 a shot.
#1 Tavern Wildwood. That's like
Yeah.
their go-to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was literally like, but we didn't sell any. But I couldn't let it go bad.
No.
We could have.
Well, you could just
So we
because
ate
you
a
would
lot
make you
of
feel
cherries.
bad.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
the cherry, like I said, and like
I ate a lot of
that's
cherries in my lifetime.
But that's like the thing. Like when
Dylan, can you
I
just get
like
like a
to wink.
drum play?
You know what I like to
Bum-bum.
wink? I like to wink when he did the hard. That was perfect.
That's his stroke face
Perfect.
too, actually.
That's how Lou knows I'm going down. Like, call
He's
911
stroking out again.
Yeah.
Hey, Dylan, it's happening again.
Listen,
The
only in
ambulance
this
out here.
particular case, you're only going to get teabagged twice, and then we'll call a hospital.
Sean's always wondered.
Let me ask you a question about this. It's funny you bring that up.
Funny you bring up teabagging on this random Monday.
Because it's actually, it ties into what I was just talking about with my old bar thumpers. I had one of my good old friends, Nikki Bertato. Shout out to Nikki. Just his cancer just went into remission again. Good job, Nikki. I'm really happy for it. I got to come out and see it. But me and Nikki, we've had an ongoing debate for 25 years. Okay.
Who's going to teabag who first?
Who's going to like it more?
About what a teabag was. Okay. And in my mind, there's a reason why it's called the teabag, because you're taking the bag and you are dipping it. Correct?
He's got it confused with a Roman war helmet.
No, he's absolutely right. Cork is absolutely,
yeah.
Me hoping my kids never Google these terms.
So
you're not even Roman,
Nikki,
Lou. Don't worry.
We're not saying real. We're talking about tea bags, Lou. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about like a cup of tea.
Lipton.
But
sponsor.
His point was Lipton just
sponsor.
They bought us out to take the name Lipton out.
Lipton just blocked us.
Yeah,
sponsor.
TikTok just yanked our video right now because of that. But Nikki's theory was that if the tea bag was just put in or around the cup,
the cup,
the cup, that constituted tea bag. And I said absolutely not, because the whole point of the tea bag, and Nikki, you'll appreciate this.
Oh God, please don't.
I love a visual.
Is the pirouette of the tea bag being dipped.
Somehow that was the raunchiest thing that's happened on the show.
So literally for 25 years.
Nice.
And I think at one point I did get him to finally say like, you're right. But it's like one of those things where it's like,
so do you get teabag or do you teabag? I guess is really.
It's really where it's at.
Teabag. Okay.
I'm with you on this one.
Right.
At a time many years ago.
Well, I mean, because you see, it's the whole dipping process. Otherwise, it's not a teabag. It's just a rim job.
Right, or a Roman war helmet, which is
where it's like flapping all over. Yeah, see,
because it was a nose guard.
Nose guard, breathe right.
Yeah,
yes, breathe right.
Like
yes.
Breathe. Well, that's a whole.
Do you have which Sean's go to? Like, when Sean tells the sorority sisters, like, "Do you have a hard time breathing? Let me help you with that."
I am hoping and I'm praying that we've had this raunch. This has been so raunchy so far that my dear
door locked.
My dear godmother, my Aunt Pat, has turned this off by now. And if she hasn't, I'm so sorry.
I think we've been very.
In other news, we dedicate this
something.
episode to Sean's hand.
Well, it's
very something.
Quick.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this actually last night with a couple of friends. So people have social medias, the TikTok, or as the talk, as kids call it.
Yes. No one calls it that.
Yeah, I know. I got told that.
You could start. You never know what's going to
talk about different people's For You pages and stuff like that. and
it's weird because mine's like punk rock bands and like comic books.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And Sean's, even though he's not pursuing higher education, is nothing but sororities.
Wow.
Which is really weird because he's not pledging to be in a sorority.
Well, you don't know necessarily.
See, you're just mistaken. There's the old saying, always be closing.
Yes.
Well, as a restaurant operator in a time where it's hard to get good help,
sororities,
always be recruiting.
Yes, always be recruiting. He's doing the Baldwin thing with the balls.
He's doing he was doing
the Baldwin
that
thing with the balls.
Absolutely, rubbing the balls.
Working the balls.
I always wanted one of those.
Lou said it. I'm trying to, because I did the quick scan of my brain. I'm like sorority. Like I'm going through porn. Yeah, I'm going through Pornhub. I'm like, I don't think there's a sorority tab. You might be onto something hot.
You
might be onto something hot.
Is there something other than sorority?
I have a
there's
thing.
stepmoms, there's POV,
yeah.
There's on vacation, there's sharing a bed with. I could literally do another hour.
Please keep going, actually.
I could do another hour.
Just actually make this the rest of the show.
I could do an hour with this.
Can we do a lifetime search?
If you hit the sandwich menu on the left of Pornhub, like they have different categories you can choose from. You don't even have to search.
What's Pornhub?
It's the same as the other. Yeah, it's really more of an educational.
Yeah.
Really?
It's for nubs.
Yes,
for nubs.
For nub. Porn for nubs.
For nubs.
For that Nubian, nubs meaning new, porn for new. born for new.
Shout out to Natasha Nice.
Shout out Nubians in Sean's
Nice.
search history
Well
too.
done.
Actually,
Well done. That DMs will be full.
You know what's really funny is like when Lou and I'll be in a conversation, and like it's happened to us at least twice now, where when guys are out, we don't talk about porn or anything like that. We don't sit there and bring it up or anything like that. But it's happened to us twice where we figured it out that we there was certain channels that we. And Natasha Nice was one, and
dynamite.
Kyle Balls.
what do you?
Kyle Balls is great. Kyle Balls
Well,
changed.
he's not. His wife is great.
Now, listen, Kyle Balls changed the industry because what he did was he came up with a set script.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Oh, hey, you're
And the
just my
guy's funny.
stepmom. Yeah, dad's
Listen,
away. Yeah.
this is the end result. Kyle Balls is a guy like if you and I and Lou are sitting in a bar and Kyle Balls sits down, we're having a beer with the guy. Because the
telling you who
guy
he is
I'm
right
not
now.
having a beer with the guy. I'm taking him home and saying, tell me
taking
the
him home?
stories. Yes.
He's this.
Because of Cody. Because of
just
Cody.
have a
Because he's
whole
bringing
new
Cody.
channel.
He's this generation's Ron Jeremy. Is what he
Yes,
is.
he really is.
He's 320 fucking pounds.
Yes.
And all he
Big,
does is fuck
giant,
hot
crazy
chicks.
He's
bear.
literally me with hair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
giant beard.
100%.
But here's the thing. He's like one of those guys that sets up his promotions, which, listen, we were talking about the industry that we've all been in collectively. Like he sets you up for the next visit. He does.
I
He
feel
goes,
like-
here's 5 girls I want you to talk to or see or boom, 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 boom. Like, he's great.
Episode 1 was always like the
Introduction.
and
Yeah.
like maybe get a hand job out of it. The second one was the blow job. The third one was like like maybe a little bit of like touchy feely stuff.
I don't know
and
about
the fourth
what you're
one was just
talking
like,
about
you're getting
now.
around. Like,
No, well, the fourth one, he's like, I'm banging my mom. I'm totally banging my real life mom.
Yeah,
who's
Dad's
the
out of
same
town
age
again.
as me right
That's
now.
when everything falls apart completely. When you have to just say, all right, I
At
ran
the
out
end
of
of the day,
stuff.
we're all Lannisters.
Right. Yes. Nice. Yeah, bringing the dragons. Everybody's good.
Scorched earth.
Oh man,
Worked.
I tell you what, Quirk, you should just come every week because you're way funner than Lou.
Sean just came now, so you should come all the time.
Like
Well,
yeah.
if you're going to close with that kind of conversation, we're all setting ourselves up for mincer gum. Mincer gum. Mincer gum.
Pop rocks was that a thing like back in the day?
I've
Right?
never
Rocks.
experienced it.
Yeah,
It was a
I
myth.
heard about
I think it was a
Pop
myth.
rocks and Altoids, if we're talking about the same thing.
Is it a myth?
No, it's not.
Is that a thing?
No, Pop Rocks
never
and
had it.
Altoids. It was Pop Rocks and Altoids. Like, you always knew that she was a gamer. Pop Rocks and Altoids. Because,
I feel like the Altoids would probably have you'd have lots of saliva.
well,
I feel like,
no,
right?
but there was a cooling aspect
On the balls.
I've never, I'm
to it. The Pop Rocks thing was a little...
Wait, quick, hold on real quick. Oh, you're not into something.
Hold on, bring in the horse.
There's a
My
not
kids
list.
watch this podcast.
Bring the horse in and the duck and the midget and that guy with one eye besides me.
I did send Sean a meme recently saying July 23rd, the midget's back out front of a strip club. And I'm like, I know we have something going on that day, but
Yeah,
I need off.
we gotta go.
I need off.
That's
It's
an
a
important...
Monday.
I saw
It's
the
a-
same meme.
I think it's actually not even a podcast. Dylan, you want to come?
My
Dylan's in.
depravity, if I'm walking by a strip club or driving by a strip club and there's a sign that says the midget's back, I'm fucking going in.
You have to.
Like,
What if you die the next day and you never saw
am I
it?
gonna
Yeah.
die and
What if
wonder?
a piano
I
falls
want to
on you?
die with
Yeah.
a sense of wonder.
There was a bar out in Pittsburgh. It was on Carson Street, out on the south
The
side.
library bar with the big stacks.
No, I was never in a place like that. Books.
It was it wasn't
Sean
books.
doesn't have big stacks.
It was booze.
So it was I can't remember, was it Casey's or something like that? But all I remember is, and this is the
They
guys
had
on
the cheerleaders there.
there was above like the entrance, there was literally like a little bunk set up, and they had a little person who they said he lived there, and I know he did.
Oh, it was a
In the
guy.
bunk.
And he would like, it was almost like a show. He would come down a ladder and be on the bar and do shots and pour shots into people's mouths and stuff like that. And it was one of
The
the
guy
funnest-
would come and put on a show
Hold on.
and pour things down your throat. What was the name of this bar?
I come down your
Cave.
throat.
I come down your throat.com.
Oh.
The website.
.org, .net, .edu.
Yeah, all the really
All the
seedy
dots.
.tv, .biz, like the really fucked
Yeah,
up shit.
when you run out of dots.
Yeah.
And
Bear
continue.
Cave.
Bear cave.
Yeah, we're moving on to
Bear-
bears now.
Why is
Bear
that
Cave.
really
Wait,
to you in some sort
It
of way?
was called the Bear Cave?
Cork, Lou actually, I'm going to give him
Is there-
permission to discuss this story, but there's actually a story that has been going around for years. Actually, no, you're not allowed to say it because Casey needs to hear it on her birthday.
Right. So you have to save it.
But she
that-
can't
you
watch
set
this episode anyway, so go ahead.
You
You
set
can't watch
yourself-
this episode.
Yeah.
You set yourself up. Yeah, that's
So-
true.
To my 13-year-old soon to be, happy birthday. Sean's going to tell the bear story.
Right. Well,
So
every bear story is a
there was
good
this
story.
time. There was this time, Cork. It was after I was separated from my wife. Okay.
Right.
For the sake of the story.
And went to this Halloween party at this bar, and a bunch of people were there in costumes and stuff like that. And there was somebody who was there who was wearing a bear costume, and it was like a onesie, like a bear onesie.
If that's
Like
a thing of bear ones, I
furry and
would
stuff like
believe
that.
you.
If this was a video game, like a ticker at the bottom would say like new kink unlocked.
Yeah,
So-
new kid.
You'd be like,
So-
I didn't realize
and
I
you get the
was,
little-
but I fucking am.
and you get the crown.
You get an achievement.
Yeah, no.
So whatever. We hook up and not with the bear costume on. I made the biggest mistake of telling my brother and one of my best friends this story one time. And for the past
What?
10 years,
I mean, maybe not with the costume on, but did she still have any makeup on? Like, tell me about
Yeah, you're gonna have to own most
she
or
may
all.
have not had
You're gonna
like
have
the
to
Wookiee
adjust
suit
the,
on, but
just that.
she had the black nose and the whiskers. So like, what did that look like after you were done like sucking face and making out?
it was really weird seeing the black stuff like around my groin area. Like I don't know.
No, maybe there was
Sean-
a new infection.
and this is where
it
we
was
get
a new
canceled,
infection,
but-
right? Yeah, a new
but Sean-
infection with an old
Sean's
infection.
dick was in blackface.
I got home and I looked at myself in the mirror.
Jolson dick.
And I never felt worse about my actions in life. Not because the girl, pretty girl.
Oh, I gotta stop you. Could you say that again? I want you to go back and just repeat.
Up
and
until
say
this point,
this
he
is
had never
important.
felt
This is really important.
worse about
Say it
himself.
slow.
So-
and look to the best camera angle.
This has been one of the greatest episodes ever, and I'm glad it's our last one, and we're never going to be allowed back. I'm pretty sure Dylan, that the neighbors in the building of the studio, I think they already put a petition together to not allow us to come back. YUNKJunk, I'm sorry I ruined your channel. I apologize for the moral depravity that I brought to everybody. May God
guilty.
have mercy on our souls for having dealt with me. And on that note,
yeah, that's a tough fucking follow.
so Cork,
I feel small and guilty.
can we? Well, that's just because you're Irish. But so let's get
Sean's sex life.
what's the
Small and guilty.
Another plug for June 27th, Barnaby's Westchester upstairs.
Barnaby's Western? Okay, cool.
Yeah, Barnaby's Westchester.
27th.
June
right? Not
27th.
22nd.
We said- yeah.
June 27th, 7 to 9 p.m. Myself, Joe Bell, Sean Murphy. You can, I might as well we speaking of
let's
socials.
do it. Make money off it.
Cork Comedy Hangover Show is what you want to follow. Cork Comedy Hangover Show has all my shit, and every once in a while I post.
Literally shit.
Yeah, it's literally shit. That part's 100% an accurate statement, not an anagram.
Mhm.
But it was great to drink with you boys and
Great
talk a
seeing
little
you. It's
turkey.
been too long.
Pleasure.
Can't wait for the next time if they'll allow us
Oh,
back.
we're coming back. We're coming back. If not, Kyle Balls is going to pick up the whole thing.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. My dad just got home, or he just left for work. Isn't it so weird? He's always gone right when I come home and I have homework to do.
This is the time where we usually 86 certain topics, but I think we all know at this point the show's being 86.
86.
So, Philly, Pennsylvania, East Coast of America,
Milky Way.
America, United States, the Earth, the Milky Way, the universe. Thanks for watching.
Peace out, sauerkraut.
YUNKJunk!